Good morning from Mission Control Houston. We are at a mission elapsed time of 5 days, 14 hours, 2 minutes and counting. The Artemis 2 crew is currently in their sleep period. Now, we would like to share with the world that while the crew was asleep, we did receive some of those stunning downlinked images from the lunar flyby, which took place earlier in the cruise day. So let's take a look. Here we have it. The first image we see from behind the moon, the crew watched Earth set. There's a soft blue arc fading behind a silent, cratered horizon. And this view shows the moon fully eclipsing the sun. From their vantage point, the moon appears large enough to completely block the sun, creating nearly 54 minutes of totality, far longer than what we've experienced from Earth. The sun's corona is forming a glowing halo around the dark lunar disk, revealing the outer atmosphere normally hidden by the sun's brightness. Along the edge, you can also see a faint glow on the moon's surface. That's sunlight reflected from the Earth, softly illuminating the near side. It's a striking view and a rare opportunity to observe and document the corona as we return to deep space. This is Mission Control Houston coming to you live from the Artemis Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center. At a mission elapsed time of 5 days, 17 hours, the crew was woken up aboard their Integrity spacecraft, marking the start of Flight Day 7 activities.
Good morning and welcome to Artemis Mission Control here at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. I'm Leah Cheshire Mustachio. The Orbit 1 team has just taken over from the Orbit 2 team and is led by Jeff Radigan, NASA Flight Director. The Capcom, or Capsule Communicator for today, is Stan Love. He's a NASA astronaut and is the only voice you'll hear communicating with the crew. Of course, there is an exception for that today, during which the science team will be conducting their post-lunar flyby conference. If you tuned in yesterday, you got a treat, and we got to see amazing views of the moon as well as hear the crew's description of them. Now, while the crew was taking those photos, they were also recording private voice notes that they sent down to the science team overnight. This morning, the science team is going to talk about the observations that the crew made while those are all still fresh. We've also got some other exciting activities coming up today, including a ship-to-ship call. The Orion spacecraft and the 4 Artemis 2 astronauts, Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen, will be calling the International Space Station. We have 7 crew members living and working aboard the International Space Station, and we have just surpassed 25 years of continuous human presence living and working in space. This will be the first time that these 2 spacecraft have ever talked to each other. This is the first flight of humans aboard the Orion spacecraft, and in the official flight kit aboard Orion are some special flags. One of those is from Apollo 18. This is the American flag that would have been planted on the moon during that mission, should it have occurred. It was on display in the NASA headquarters building in Washington, D.C., making its way around the moon over 50 years since its originally intended flight. The other American flag aboard Orion is from a little more recent history. It was flown on STS-1, the first space shuttle flight, STS-135, the last space shuttle flight, and NASA SpaceX DM-2, or Demonstration Mission 2, which was the return of launching American astronauts from American soil on American rockets.
Good morning, Houston. We are 202,306 nautical miles away. Earth is pulling us back, and we are happy about that. We're ready for morning DPC.
We're happy about that too, and ready for DPC. We've got about a dozen quick items for you. The first of which is updated nominal burn plan and nominal RTC last star on board.
Actually, Stan, we have one more small and quick thing. We just wanted to take this moment to recognize the 2 newest members of the Association of Space Explorers, NASA astronaut Christina Cook and Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen. Reed and I are both members, and we're proud to welcome the 2 of them to this international body of human space explorers. And also congratulations to Jack Hathaway, who recently joined aboard the International Space Station. Thank you.
Thank you for those words, and welcome to the club.
Integrity, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Integrity is ready for the event.
Station, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call Integrity for a voice check.
Integrity, this is the International Space Station. How do you hear?
Hey, International Space Station and Jessica, we have you loud and clear. How about us?
We have you loud and clear as well, and we have BME TV up, so we have a view of you right now, and it is making us so excited. We feel like you're here with us, and this is really just making our entire week right now.
We have been waiting for this like you can't imagine. Let me go check on our PFD. We are 201,726, now 25 nautical miles from planet Earth, which is just hard to believe. The scales are impossible to believe. And for the run of show this morning, I figured I'll say a quick hi, which I have done. I'll hand the microphone to fellow chump Jeremy. He can say a quick hi, and then we'll let you three 8-balls just get on with it. Yeah, thanks for giving me like a tiny bit of microphone time before the 8-balls get after it. But it's such a pleasure to be spending a little bit of time with our colleagues in space, and we talk so much up here, or we try to anyway, emphasize how important the work is that we're all doing in this program to do the types of things that get us ready to get back on the surface of the moon, and like the administrator was saying yesterday, onto Mars. And so we just appreciate you, and it's fun to be up in space with you at the same time.
We are so excited to be up here with you, and we had a couple questions. We are wondering, we know how fortunate all of us are as humans to come up here and look down at the Earth from above. Every astronaut that comes to space remarks on that, and we really wanted to hear what that felt like, how different that felt now from your new perspective around the moon.
Well, I'll start by saying we do miss the ISS. The views there are awesome, being able to see specific places, being able to see your home specifically. So y'all's views are absolutely incredible, and I miss them every day almost. The thing that changed for me looking back at Earth was that I found myself noticing not only the beauty of the Earth, but how much blackness there was around it, and how it just made it even more special. It truly emphasized how alike we are, how the same thing keeps every single person on planet Earth alive. We evolved on the same planet. We have some shared things about how we love and live that are just universal. And the specialness and preciousness of that really is emphasized when you notice how much else there is around it. Well, I hope I'm not talking over somebody, but I wanted to say a couple things to my Astro sister, Jessica. One, sorry to steal your next spacewalk day, everybody, but thank you for cheering us along anyway. And Jessica, I always hoped we would be in space again together, but I never thought it would be like this. It's amazing. Congratulations to you on being commander, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your trip in space.
Thank you so much, Christina. I totally share all the same sentiments, and I'm so happy that we are back in space together, even if we are, a few miles apart. We like to joke about that up here, too, because everyone's talking about the records of the distance, and we ran to the far end of the space station when you guys were on the other side so that we could claim we were the furthest away from you in that moment. Love all four of you so much.
We were doing the same shenanigans here when we got to the furthest point from the moon. I tried to get to the furthest point from Earth. I tried to get to the furthest point in the spacecraft, and my crewmates were clawing me down. And I know that's a joke. We were busy doing science, but we had that same conversation. It was a lot of fun. I don't know how much longer we have here, but from the four members of the spacecraft Integrity, we really want to just say our deepest appreciation to the 7 members of the International Space Station, and this has been a true treat. It takes the entire world to do amazing things like this, and to get to come together as this group of people and talk for just a minute at these distances. We are all off the planet Earth right now, and we're all going to go home to that planet, and that is a very special thing. So thank you all for tying in.
above. We are loving all 4 of you from here, from the space station in low Earth orbit. We'll keep the fires burning here.
And we'll keep carrying the fire. Thanks, guys. Over and out.
Coming up next for the Artemis 2 crew is a conference with the science team. They will be reviewing what they saw yesterday during their lunar flyby, sharing any findings or interesting information with the science team while it's all still fresh for the crew members. Of course, they have quite a lot of audio recordings that have been downlinked to the science team, and that team has been reviewing and will continue to do so to help them understand what the crew saw and formulate new thoughts about our moon.
Integrity science, I have to start with a giant wow. Our whole lunar science team and the broader science community has been pouring out positive feedback and gratitude, so know that what you did yesterday really made a difference scientifically. Also want to say the science team has confirmed the locations of the proposed Integrity and Carroll craters, and it was such a powerful moment here for everybody listening and following along. And then also, just before I dive into the list of questions, we heard both Christina and Victor yesterday commenting that being able to discuss with each other amongst your crew, taking things from observation to inference to hypotheses, really added scientific value, and so we'd love to build on that here. So we'll ask specific questions for you guys, but please treat it like a discussion as we heard you yesterday that enhanced value. When you're ready, I'll dive into our questions. Good. Okay, for Christina and Victor, during Earth set, we heard you say that the Earth was so bright it made the moon look dark. So you all had the Earth in view during the majority of your flyby. Did you notice any time when the brightness of Earth began to change your view of the moon's brightness? And can you describe how your perception of the moon's color changed as the Earth came closer to the moon?
Yeah, absolutely. And essentially, as soon as the Earth became in the view, the easy view, where I didn't have to turn my head, when it was in what I'll call my field of view, not my field of regard, when I could just see it looking straight, the moon was already at a point where I was losing subtle albedo differences. I think it's the angle of incidence. The angle, the sun to the moon didn't change much, but we moved to the side, so we were seeing a different angle, and the color was less apparent. Oriental had also rotated really close to the limb, so a lot of the features that I was looking at were moving away, but I think the change in lighting was due to the angle of incidence, but then when the Earth became apparent, its brightness, it was so bright. It looked out of place. The gray of the moon and the black of space kind of seemed to go together, but then more in the dull sense, but then the vividness and brightness, like the difference between an LED display and a painting, right? You can just do things with light that you can't do with paint colors. The Earth looked out of place, and it just continued to dim the albedo and color that was earlier apparent in the moon. I'm passing to Christina.
You saw me nodding vigorously back here. That wasn't just my fantastic listening skills. I was nodding to make sure. Oh, we're not on video. This whole time I've been putting on a show. I was nodding, now you know, because I agreed with everything he said. I'll add a couple thoughts that popped into my mind, which was, I think I made the comment that the moon turned into a sponge of light. In my mind, before the Earth came into view, the moon actually was reflecting light, and it was lit up. As soon as the Earth got close enough to be in my field of view to take them both in at the same time, exactly what Victor said, it dulled, it turned into a sponge. It's almost like it went matte.
Next question is for all of you. Ohm crater was observed by all 4 of you, and we're interested in whether your different viewing angles resulted in how you observed Ohm. Jeremy and Reed saw it first. Were you able to see the ejecta rays, the central peak? And then Christina and Victor, you were next, and you observed Ohm later in the past. Could you resolve similar or different features than what you're about to hear from Jeremy and Reed?
The ejecta blanket for Ohm, I mean, it definitely changed as we went around the moon, but it did not change that much. It was always there. It was always fairly apparent. What is more apparent than the ejecta is the brownish gray, darker area that makes the 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock cut of the pie shape. Like that was always very apparent, and the ejecta rays just made that contrast much more apparent. But overall, Ohm did not change drastically as we went around the moon, unlike Oriental, which drastically changed as we went around the moon. And I'll keep going there. I'm kind of going to read this question, but it was later on in the orbit that I noticed the ray of Ohm, like the primary ray of Ohm that comes out of roughly the 3 o'clock position, was on the Mare. And I'm not sure if I was picking that up initially in our first observations, but definitely in the latter. Did you notice that at all? No, the near side Mare, yeah. Yeah, Reed says he was noticing that the whole time. That might have been more noticeable to me later on, but that would be the only delta.
Now this view inside the SIR, the Science Evaluation Room, you can see this team of scientists taking a look at one of the photos that the crew shared. And you can see the photos from the crew at images.nasa.gov or by visiting NASA's social media. That's at NASA or at NASA Artemis. You're now looking at a live view outside the Orion spacecraft, the solar array wing positioned to look at the spacecraft itself. This is Artemis Mission Control at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. The voice you hear on the ground is Capcom and NASA astronaut Stan Love speaking with the crew aboard Orion, specifically Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen. We are targeting the RTC-1 burn today. That's Return Trajectory Correction 1. That is targeted for about 7:03 p.m. Central Time. This is a small burn using the reaction control system thrusters on the service module of the Orion spacecraft. This helps us fine-tune our path back home. Stan Love was letting the crew know that we are canceling their first preliminary burn targeting conference. They have another one of these in a couple of hours when they will have the final burn plans uplinked and the final targeting complete. Here's a video from the outside of Orion, and as we mentioned, pilot Victor Glover is exercising. We do see the spacecraft move a little bit when the crew is exercising, and so the teams here park the solar arrays into a safe harbor position. That means any motion that they experience due to the exercise doesn't damage the solar arrays. You're looking at a visualization of the spacecraft. Now 48,670 miles from the moon and 228,090 miles from Earth, continuing to grow closer. You can keep up with this data at any time by visiting nasa.gov/track-Artemis.
Down and to the left, line 17, the DAP load is 3 for burn maneuver.
Go ahead.
In the guidance solutions section, the delta V tote now 1.4 feet per second. The TGO is unchanged at 15 seconds.
Good, go ahead.
Attitude, yaw 154. Pitch 2-6, roll 2-8-7.
That was Capcom Stan Love here in Mission Control Houston, a fellow NASA astronaut speaking with NASA's Christina Cook aboard the Orion spacecraft. The crew aboard the spacecraft is preparing for their return trajectory correction burn. It's the first of these return trajectory correction burns, reported to be at 1.4 foot per second delta V burn. Such a fantastic view coming from a solar array camera on Orion, looking back at all of us here on Earth. Currently, the spacecraft is 227,756 miles away from our home planet. Orion is now 49,168 miles away from the moon. Earlier today, the spacecraft exited the lunar sphere of influence. That's when the pull of gravity is strongest on the spacecraft. And we are standing by for the return trajectory correction 1 burn, now just 43 minutes away. Again, this is a small maneuver for the spacecraft, firing of those reaction control system thrusters.
And integrity, MCC is go for the burn.
Okay, we copy. You're still go, and we're go up here.
Ground team confirmed that we are go for the RTC 1 burn, return trajectory correction 1, coming up in 27 minutes. That will be at 7:03 p.m. Central Time.
Integrity, tank pressures are good for the burn.
Standing by for the RTC 1 burn. We have ignition and 4 good engines and good control.
Integrity, preliminary look is a good burn. Still assessing, 40 seconds to LOS.
Okay, Stan, we saw a good burn on board as well.
Roger.
Confirmation from the crew that they also saw a good return trajectory correction 1 burn, coming at 7:03 p.m. Central Time. This view coming from the spacecraft, looking down at the European service module and the solar arrays. This is Artemis Mission Control. We did get final confirmation of that return trajectory correction 1 burn being a successful burn, and it ended up being 1.6 feet per second delta V. We are in a forward link LOS, or loss of signal, and the crew aboard the Orion spacecraft is, Christina Cook specifically, is going to get into some exercise. Again, this is a quiet day for the crew as they had a very busy day yesterday and have some busy days coming up as well.
And Reed, we just went around the room. Oh. We are all good. You can begin exercise now if you'd like.
Okay, we will. It is pretty interesting up here. I'm sure you see in the data, but we can definitely feel the vehicle moving around when folks are exercising. It's pretty cool to just sit there and float and feel the vehicle kind of. It's not like a ship rocking in the ocean, but you definitely feel it wiggling around.
We also see it in the SAW video as well as our data, but good to hear your report on it as well.
Hey, one last question. This is for a little later tonight, but we kind of want to do a couple deep sky long exposure photographs. If the saws are in the windows and it's possible to get the lights turned off on the SAW cameras in about an hour, we might appreciate that, but clearly not if it interrupts any sort of ops down there.
Reed, we think that will be doable. We will double check and we'll let you know when you're done exercising.
Okay, great. Thank you.